Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope everyone in the U.S. had a wonderful Thanksgiving long weekend. And if you're overseas, hope you had a relaxing, enjoyable weekend heading into the winter. How is everyone doing? Did you eat lots of turkey? Or if you didn't eat turkey, what did you eat? Let me know. Mine was a very quiet time. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, McRangers. And I'm thankful for everyone tuning in today. Good morning, Sterling. No real earnings until Wednesday and Thursday. There's not much today, but there's real earnings. Let's see. Hold on. We got to take a look. I mean, we got Zscaler and we got Salesforce tomorrow. Sterling. CRM. I don't know about that. There might be a couple. I'm just joking with you. Oh boy. Thanksgiving hangover Monday. If you're still hungover for Thanksgiving on Monday, we might have to have a chat. Hope you're continued healing well. Good morning, Royal Palms. No earth-shaking news in the financial markets either. I'm surprised you didn't put anything in though on Joe pardoning Hunter, Sterling. Hello, Charles. Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning. Are gloating about the weather? Are you gloating about the weather? What? Why would I be gloating about the weather? It was only 77 here yesterday. It was only 77. So, I'm just glad I don't have any snow. I cannot stand snow and cold. Good morning. Good morning, Eric. So, no, I'm not going to gloat about the weather, but some people love the cold and snow. I'm just not one of them. And some people hate the heat. You know what? I'm cold below 80. So, technically at 77, I'm cold. Technically. All right, thank you for tuning in. Good morning, Heinrich. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, who else? Did I miss anybody? By the way, I was on Ninja Trader on Wednesday. I'm on Ninja Trader again this morning at 10:30 Eastern. So if you want a second dose of me, and I don't know why you would, tune in to Ninja Trader. On the political front, how about Biden giving his son a pass on all potential federal crimes dating back to? Yeah, exactly. See, I was waiting for you to post this, Sterling. I was waiting. There is news. All right, but let's get to the market news now. We have the ISM manufacturing numbers coming out at 10 Eastern. Uh, really watch the prices paid. Expected to bounce a bit again. We have the SV Global Manufacturing final PMI numbers at 9:45 Eastern. So that's where we sit there. We also have Fed speak this week. We've got Waller and Williams speaking. Tomorrow we got Redbook and Jolts, and we got Kugler and Goolsby. Wednesday we got Mussolini. What else? We got the ISM services number, very important right there, especially the prices and employment from the ISM services. Then, of course, the EIA number. And we got Powell speaking in the afternoon. Powell speaking. I think this is the last we'll hear from him until the Fed meeting. Uh, Thursday, we have the initial and continuous jobless claims in Barkin speaking. And Friday, we have the final non-farm payrolls before the Fed meeting. So, non-farm payrolls. That's the biggie. And then we have the preliminary consumer sentiment and inflation numbers for December. And we got Goolsby, Hammock, and Daly speaking. So, yay, lots of Fed speak to ruin my week. In terms of the markets, we've got Tesla, which actually triggered a percent B buy on Friday. Amazon, you got mega caps slightly up for the most part, except for Microsoft. Intel up after the CEO's retiring. So there you go with that. Overall, your groups, the market is so complacent right now. This is where again, trend is still up, market's very complacent. Have you seen the DAX also? I mean, Germany, they're getting massive layoffs over there, and the DAX is just going through to the moon again. Consumer cyclical comm services, technology leading higher. Real estate, utilities, and basic materials pulling back a bit. Fed watch is still 65 for another cut in how many days? In 16 days, in 4 hours. Fear and greed still solidly in greed mode. Schiller PE ratio looks 30. What are we? 38.54. The peak before the last sell off was 38.58. Not saying that we have to sell off, but I mean, the spidey sense is heightened. Back to earnings again. Zscaler after close, nothing really tomorrow. Salesforce, do not ignore Salesforce tomorrow afternoon, though. What else? We got Campbell's, Hormel, Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree and Dollar General both Wednesday and Thursday. So that's going to be a very interesting, not necessarily market moving, but very interesting. And then stuff like Kroger, Lululemon, there's another. That'll be an interesting one. DocuSign, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, and then Friday really has nothing. So we're going to end the week with some peace and quiet in terms of earnings. All righty. All righty. What else do we have? Thanksgiving hangover was a reference to the markets. Are the markets hungover? Are the markets hungover? I mean, the markets are just in party. The markets are still in party mode. Good morning, Darkstream. Why doesn't gold want to fall? I don't know why it doesn't want to fall. Still watching. It's sort of stuck in no man's land right now. See, Sterling, how did you spell Salesforce is after Hopurs? I think we are not talking about the market still being hung over. I'm just, again, joking with you, Sterling. You're probably back at work already. Is December going to be a busy month, do you think, in your dealership or not? Danish guy on thoughtful money looking to move down to October 22 low. Bears always sound the most reasonable. 23, yeah. October 23 low. And it very well could at some point. But, yeah, thoughtful number. If you don't subscribe to that YouTube channel, Thoughtful Money with Adam Taggart does a lot of fantastic interviews. Second of that, we're pausing. Holiday trading, shortened holiday trading on Friday. Again, I took the day off. Little continued to climb. We do have the mini double in place. It is, because of this jagged up move, it's something I'm keeping an eye on because it really could take it back to this 5650 number potentially. Until that, we do have the waning momentum. We are getting back to cycle top area on the weekly and trying to roll over in the daily. But we're going to need something to tip this market over. Otherwise, the trend is still up. Breaking out, trying to break out, well, at least from the closing highs back on the 11th, trying to just break higher, just grinding higher. What is the volume looking like? I mean, last week we had some decent volume. Actually, the week before. Now it's waning up. I want to see how we recover today and tomorrow in terms of volume. Lots of everybody thinking nothing could go wrong. Managers positioned. Hold on, I'm just looking at another screen. Here you go. Asset manager positioning at extremes. Now, can we go more extreme? Yes, but this is when I get caught. Look at the lows back in 2022. Now we're to 98%, nearly 100% all in on the market. So that's where I would be slightly cautious and know where your trailing stops are, especially if you're in things from the short term. Lots of stuff has to happen before there can be long-term technical damage. And you mentioned back to the lows of 20, the 2023 lows, which could very well happen, but there's a lot of heavy lifting and heavy selling to do before that has to happen. And in the short term, we'd have to get back to below 5,470. Actually, I got to update that. Technically, it's a bit higher. It's about 5,472. So we're a long way off from that. Although when we start ramping up like this, it does make me sit up and take notice. Now, if we start to get a move on above 60.60, 60.94.50, so 60.95, then we have 61.21 to 61.35, and those are very key levels higher. The support is coming back at. You have Tuesdays open, Wednesdays close, Friday's open area, and the rising rotation zone. Back about 6 D15, I would watch for about 6,010 to 6,015 for the major support area. The minor support area is about 60.35 to 60.37. So there's your numbers. It could keep running. I mean, a lot of people don't even have 7,000 as the whole year. A lot of projections are 6,600 for next year. Look at the rate that this thing keeps going. Who knows? That could get taken out. If money keeps pouring in this market like there is no tomorrow, and there is no risk, there is no fear in this market. No fear. Okay? So that's when I get a little, not saying it can't happen, but know where your key levels are. That's what the trend is your friend until it ends. There's no sign of it ending yet, but that could change abruptly. NASDAQ coming back down last Wednesday, poking into between the 50 and 62.5, and then moving back up. Support now at the NASDAQ is 21,000. The next key levels, if I flip this back over, the next key levels, remember we technically have closed below 62.5 and did not close below the other 62.5. So we're looking at 21,101 and then 21,221 are the next magnet prices higher. The Dow, just coming on up here, through pausing at this next significant cluster area. We are pausing at the next significant cluster area. If we blow through Friday's high, we're looking at about 45,335 as the next key level. The minor support level is 44,835. Major support level is coming back around 44,625. The Russell, trying to just base at the highs back from the 11th of November, letting the rotation zone catch up. Very, very key support is 24.30, 24.29, and 24.30. Remember, you do still have a gap left behind. You do have a gap left behind back to 24.13.6 on any bigger sell-off. We came up last Monday and hit a minor harmonic and then stalled out. If we blow through last Monday's high at 2477.1, we're looking at 2498.9. So I'd actually say the magnet price would be 2500. How do I use monthly charts? I look in on them periodically to see where the long-term levels are. For example, in the S&P, if I was going to look at a monthly chart, the key area, because any pullback to a monthly rotation zone, you see here, in August, September, October 23, pullback into monthly rotation zone and rotating up. Also, monthly percent B buy right here. And then the pause, 8 pushing the price. And then pulled back in September to the monthly rotation zone. The only thing that really starts getting, again, the warning sign would be this 54.72, which will keep rising, but anything in here is still a pullback into the rotation zone on a monthly basis. The bottom of the monthly rotation zone is going to be converging about 5,200. You kiss away 5,200, we could be in for something else. But this is you know, still an insanely overbought. Look at how overbought it is on the monthly basis. And yeah, you can stay up here. Look, you can stay here for a long time in October, but generally, then we had a big sideways correction. We ran back up into overbought and then the COVID hit and pullback. We came back up into January of 22, and then boom. Look at this. So now we're climbing back to those overbought levels, and we're very also overextended on a lot of time frames. But again, it doesn't have to stop. This market doesn't make any sense. Mr. Snickers, welcome. Do I have any ideas on Filecoin? I will have to look at that at the end. I do not currently trade Filecoin. So, the DAX, look at this DAXy. Look at this DAXy. 919 was the next harmonic level. So pausing right there, but 20, I think this is shooting for 20. This looks like it's shooting for 20, and the key support, horrible numbers coming out of Germany, but let's just buy it. Back to very overbought cycles at the top, and on a weekly basis, still, we held the rotation zone and rotating back up. So, the DAX, now key support is 19,800. Oops, wrong line. There we go, 19,800. Good morning, John. Would you look at trading a 1 hour double top in the S&P? That is completely valid. Let me just double check. I am sure you are right. It just tapped off the 75 harmonic, so yes. So if that were to trigger, it would need at least a 1 hour close. It is valid on a 4 hour basis also. It is against the rotation zone, so slightly lower probability. Would need at least a 1 hour close below 6,036. That's the only minor bearish thing on the chart. Good eyes, Sterling. And look where that takes you back to. Potentially just to the daily rotation zone. So that's it. Right around that very key support level. So yes, completely tradable. Would have to be sort of nimble because it is against the rotation zones. What question, Darks? If there's no fear, gold keeps going up even when the dollar is up too. Again, the gold and dollar don't normally run in tandem. They have been. And you don't ask me the why question. I don't know the why question. Besides, everything is in party mode. Now, gold, we can jump to gold real quick. Gold, we're still in. It's been whipsawing. We have major volatility with weekly cycles turning back up. But gold still could be putting in a substantial topping pattern or a substantial sideways pattern. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. We could be pullback to sideways mode at least through the end of the year. Okay? Remember, gold came off of very overbought conditions. We've come out of overbought conditions, and there's two kind of corrections: sideways and pullback. If you look at this on the monthly chart, this is still a sideways correction. On a weekly chart, it was more of a pullback, but you started getting the pullback, and then the rally from Monday the 18th, the week of the 18th, just wiped it out. Gold right now is not giving a lot of great signals. Longer term, it's still in bullish mode. In the short term, I'm in neutral mode. When there's no good signals, I sit on my hands. The notes, finally the notes, if you look, is back to the weekly rotation zone, the flattened out weekly rotation zone. With the Fed speak this week and everything else, it just depends what they're going to look to. But key support coming back in now, back at about 110.16 on the note 10-year note futures. Yields pulling back to a very key level. The 50 EMA, the 208 EMA, and a key support level. Now we have the first cross rotation zone, so it has to get back. In order for me to get short-term bullish in yields again, first target area for me is 4.3, and then it has to follow through with a close about 4.38 for me to get short-term bullish, because we are against a daily rotation zone. And we have weekly cycles still headed down. So we could still be in for some more consolidation in the notes in the short term. On top of that, France is rising yields, and some would say a debt problem, but the DAX is rising. The markets, if you're trying to make sense of these markets from a fundamental standpoint, don't bother. Do not bother. Everything's just in buy it all party mode. Dollar index, watch to see how it closes today in relationship to Friday. This would be 8%. Be buy. It follows through if it closes above the high. It's already broken above that. Nice little channeling pullback. I was going to watch last week if it made a little head and shoulders top. It broke below this, so it'd be a downward sloping neckline, which does not work. So now I'm watching to see if this regains the move up. Now, on any buy pattern in the dollar, the key level it still has to regain is 106.83 on a closing basis. So it has to continue to push back through there. Otherwise, the aggressive area I'll be watching for any rollovers between 106.51 and that 106.83 area. That is if it does trigger. We have daily cycles to the bottom and weekly cycles still heading down. And we didn't reconnect with the weekly rotation zone yet. So the dollar still is trying to bounce here, but could remain in extended consolidation. Crude, see, here's another market. There's absolutely nothing going on in crude. You know, the only thing is if it drops back down to about 67, we'll watch for short-term buy patterns. If it comes back up to about 71 to 71.50, we'll watch the short-term sell patterns. Unless something gets crude to break these key support or resistance levels, it's just some back and forth minor support and resistance trading. There's no great patterns on here. Natty gas, on the other hand, there is. So it's formed, you can see this 4-hour double top. You could saw a potential double top because it's not confirmed. If we rotate back up around this 350 area, it will be invalidated. But if it closes below 307, then we could be a pullback. Other than that, I'm going to be watching for this area to hold since we're still in the rotation zone. So that's the only thing that puts me bearish in the short term on natty gas, to watch for bigger pullbacks if this double triggers. Other than that, if it does not trigger, we'll be watching for potential bullish short-term setups against the key support areas coming down to. So then between the two, if I was looking, you said, all right, what are you going to trade, crude or natty gas? I'd be picking natty gas because natty gas does have some potential setups where crude does not. Silver, here's another one. There's not anything great going on right now. I'll sit up and take notice on silver if we get above 31.67 again. Copper, not much going on here. Just holding some very key support levels. The yen finished, triggered the double back on Tuesday, and finished it on Friday. So that is complete. Okay, and we've had the bigger pullback, and the yen is now in neutral mode on the weekly and bearish mode on the daily. So we need some stronger bottoming patterns, which we don't really have yet. Let's see if we're getting to. Not quite yet. We don't have a potential double quite yet. So I'm going to be paying attention to that to see if we get one for a bounce play only. But now key resistance is about 150, 150. Euro, here's another one. Euro back into the rotation zone, rotating back down, but it lost a substantial amount of momentum. So on the euro, I'm going to be paying attention to what we do between 104.64 to 104.31. That's what I'm going to be watching to see if we hold in that area and then bounce higher. If we close below 104.31, then I'm watching for a retest of the low areas back from the 22nd of November. Updated long-term prediction for copper. Long-term, very long-term, I would still be bullish. Short-term, I nothing going on, because if we go into a more of the global slowdown, which, then I am not bullish on copper in the short term. Longer term, after we get through some of the slowdown, I'd be back into bullish mode. I'm still watching for copper to potentially break down below 391 again and return to the major support base, where then I will be looking for more longer term setups in copper. Right now, short term is bearish to me. Medium term is neutral. Dollar Tree earnings this week, and there are a couple of interesting patterns in play. I see daily trigger downward sloping neckline, inverse head and shoulders that would roll into a larger daily double bottom. Let's take a look. So there we go. Dollar Tree. Let's take a look at that weekly. You do have the little mini double. It's very lopsided. But that's the only thing that would put me in anything bullish mode. Other than that, the daily downward sloping neckline, inverse head, downward sloping neckline, inverse head and shoulders. Oh, maybe this one. This is what you were looking at that triggered this little thing. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Yeah, that is valid. Just a little hard to see, so you have good eyes. That could roll it into the double bottom. We'll have to see on earnings of how that plays out. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Where else did I leave off? The spiders. I know we're going to market open. The spiders, if it breaks through Friday's high, you're still looking 604.20 and then 605.08 are the next two target areas. Above 604.20 invalidates this little mini potential double top, and then you wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. Key stuff here. Key stuff here. The major support levels coming in at 598.50 to 599. So that's what you have on the spiders. The Qs, still the magnet price is 512.94. And then above that, you're looking at, why did that move? Then we're looking at about 515.50. If it breaks above the 11th highs, the next target eventually comes to 523.50. Other stuff, Tesla, as I said on Friday, triggered a percent B buy and is up again. This is now putting it into triple top territory, off the table for the doubles. Catching on the rotation zone, percent B buy on Friday, following through with the higher price. Again, the magnet price is still this 87.5, this 375 area. NVIDIA, Also triggering a little percent beat buy on Friday, but Nvidia's really running out of steam. I'm interested to see if it's going to break below this 132 level. Intel, it's just really start watching though if Intel does break below 23 on Intel. This is just in a longer term flagging pattern, but I'm watching for, we had a little mini double play out here. But there's not great long term stuff yet for Intel. What else do we have? What was this? What was Mr. Snickers? You asked about Filecoin. Again, one I do not normally follow. But let's just do some quick analysis on it. Confirmed but not triggered double here. That would be for the minor pullback. If you do, it's confirmed but not triggered. Now, if we rotate back up towards 734, it'd be off the table. Your magnet price still for Filecoin is 760, and then you're looking at the major rollover zone again. You're coming into very key resistance. In order for it to be longer term bullish and start retesting the highs from March, early March of 24, you need a follow through close above 87.75. By the way, that double is against the rotation zone, so I'd really be paying attention on any pullback to right around 633 if it does trigger. What else? LIT back to, you're welcome, Mr. Snickers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. And by the way, if anybody in the longer term people knows, if you punch in something and I forget, punch it in again before I wrap things up. LIT. And then we also have another one I have to look at. Oh. LIT back to rotation uptrend. Take a look at the, still trying to hold in there. Just pay attention on LIT if it closes back below 42.50. That's the only risk you have to the downside. Other than that, trying to hold in there. Not a lot of great patterns though in the short term right there. And what else do we have? What else do we have? Mags. Yeah, that was a nice hold in the rotation zone. Little flag pullback. Your still short-term key area is 53. If you get above 53, it takes a potential double top. Oops, hold on. How'd those move? Actually, it's 52.81. You get above 52.81, it takes the lopsided double completely off the table. And in the short term, the next, if this keeps running, your targets, your next target's above 52.81. The next major one's 54.34 and then 56.10. And the double will be off the table. And your key support on a closing basis is back at 50.81. Hey, Ted, you late. Were you taking kids to school? How do you find a reserve? I mean, in the ground. Okay, I misread that. 83 billion. See, that doesn't seem like anything anymore. 83 billion, and all the money sloshing around is 83 billion. EWZ. EWZ. Brazil has round tripped it back to a very key support area. This is, if this breaks on Brazil, come on. Why won't you let me anchor it? There we go. Pay very close attention if this level breaks, because 23 is the next key area. And by the way, with this gap down, breaking stuff, any rallies I'd be looking for rollover plays. This is not a bullish chart yet. And you see here last week, closing, you see how the last few bounces, the weekly breaks below? This is a new weekly low close. If we switch to a line chart, you see here, look at these prior closes. Okay, you see where it was support all along here? Now you've closed below it on a weekly level. Just reinforcing again why I'd be looking for rollover plays, and the target area I'd be looking at would be about 22.30 to 23. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. 1,000 tons of gold deposit. College boy needed a ride. Back to college? Good. Well, that's your excuse is completely valid, Dark Screen. If this EWZ is not a bullish chart, and you're in BZQ. Oh, geez. Oh, an ultra short. I mean, here's why I hate these ultras, anything ultras, because you bleed out. You're fighting now. If you're in this in the short term, that's fine. But this would do not turn, especially ultra short things, into long-term holdings, because it bleeds out. It has a natural bias to disintegrate. Okay? So I'd actually switch to something else that was not an ultra short if you wanted to remain short Brazil for a longer term. Otherwise, you're fighting gravity on these. That's why you have this. So, this would be a very short-term play for me only. I would not try to ride this on pullbacks and then keep this going long-term, because this can keep your fighting gravity on this one. So if you want to play still Brazil to the short side, I look for something other than an ultra short. There's your Mexico. Let's see, on the weekly basis. That could be interesting, coming into a very key longer term support area. And the only thing that would get me bullish on this in the short term would be that pattern right there. Other than that, I'd be looking for it to pull back between this 50 and 62.5 and seeing if it gets a stronger base for anything to the long side. And here's key example. So any rallies, I'd be paying attention to see why this pattern is so important. Because if it triggered, it would be out of the way of the weekly rotation zone. And watch the last few moves up. Weekly rotation zone rotating, rotating down, rotating down. Even this peak spiked in there and rotated down. So that's the only thing. This market would have to prove itself by closing above in the EWW, closing above 54. Other than that, your really long-term support base. Look at the lows from 20 up to the highs of 24. Look just separate from the harmonics. Look at this major support base right here, right between the 50 to 62 and a half. Because you already broke below this key support, retested it and rolled over. So this is where I'd be really focusing on for any potential setups on the buy side again. Other than that, I'd be looking for rollover plays unless that little mini double triggers. So if you're looking for Mexico plays, for me in the short term, I'd still be watching for rollover plays unless that weekly double triggers, and that needs a weekly close above 54. Other than that, I'd be watching for rollover plays, especially back down to this key area, maybe between about 44 and 45. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll just peek back at the S&P, going into the open, and then I am on NinjaTrader at 10:30 Eastern time. So we'll see. I don't know what we're going to discuss, but we'll see what's going on. Not much going on in the market. Let's just take a look at the tick too to see where that opened. Yeah, nothing. Not very, very, very quiet Monday. Remember, stuff's going to ramp up more so tomorrow because a lot of people are still using this as a travel day. So more things will ramp up tomorrow, but a slightly negative tick opening. Nothing earth-shattering though. So I'd be watching for this to be more potentially range bound on any with a slight upward bias. Yep, the Intel CEO did retire. Thank you, Anissa. I will see you there. Can we have a look at coffee? Yep. Yeah, I mean that ran up really big time. If you're looking here, again, we don't have a bounce yet. This sort of went insane. But with weekly cycles now at the top, I'd be watching for your key support coming in between 276, 288. If you close back below 276, I'd be watching for possibly a retest of the breakout area and possibly lower. There is nothing yet here. On the buy side, you see where the rotation zone is on the daily, back of that 288.40 area, the bottom of it, and that's also 50% from the massive run up. So this is where with cycles coming over out of massively overbought conditions, I'd be looking for any kind of bounce play. If it did close back below 276.60, I'd be hands off in the short term or be looking for potential bounce and then rollover plays. How come your Starbucks is still so much? What, just this little pullback? Because here's why your Starbucks. Well, A, services. B, look at this. Here's your monthly coffee. These are levels also that it's been rejected to repeatedly. If you look at ties, look at the highs over the years. That's why I'd be real cautious. Look at this. Look at this. So, I mean, it's been up here in 11. It's been up here in 97. It's up here in 76. It was, you had slight lower areas, but it does not sustain above these levels very long. So, again, once you remember, this is the primary reaction. We will get a bounce in this, but I put the harmonics on going the other way. Okay, for example, let's just pretend this was a low pullback low. It would then have to rebound above that 62.5 for me to be interested in it at all. But that would only be a short-term play. This I'd be real cautious about doing anything long-term in coffee. All right. With that, I shall talk to everyone. Well, I'll talk to see some people on Ninja, and then I'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Bye for now. Ah, didn't even realize the camera was slightly off. Oops.